Hi there, welcome. It's Lori at Positive Thanks Living, and this is the 5th week, the final mini journal for the challenge Exploring Joy. And it uses the hashtag that is Faith Journal July 2025. I'm just showing you here the 4 journals that are already, and the scriptures that were put in them are on that page. This is a challenge that's hosted by 2 ladies, and you can find, I'll link below to where you can find them, and also the scriptures that I'm using. Now, I'm doing a riff on Debbie Wallbank's video about using index cards. I sort of made it a little larger. I have a self-made pocket from tea and Easter egg dye with stencils paper, and I'll go through how I made all of these next. The index cards are from another video, and that video was from Hickory Art Co, and I'll link that video below also so you can see how she does the tutorial. I'm including some of my own digitals on the front of the cards, and you can get those for free. The link will be below in the description, along with using from my Torn Paper Tuesday make. It was an idea from one of the people that I craft with in person, and I thought, this is perfect. I can use this. And so if you're interested in the process of how I did that, that's the video of this week, Torn Paper Tuesday. So I have these, it's just paper that I cut in approximately 4 by 6 pieces like an index card, because that was Debbie Wallbank's idea of making a ring-bound journal. And I'm using 2 of these pieces of paper and putting them together in a manner that you'll see. It's from Hickory Art Co's tutorial. So this is not a tutorial. I'm just showing you how I did it. I would suggest that you watch her video because she has a lot of other ideas to share about making this style. Ways to either add color to the plain pages, or use digitals, or how to make these ovals with a punch, or if you don't have a punch, she has an idea for that too. But I have a punch. It's a 2-inch punch, and I'm using it. My whole premise lately is using what I have. So this is just a foray into that, whether it's the scraps on the paper strips, and the strips, what holds the paper together is a sticky tape. Often people that make cards use them. I've had it for more than 5 years, and I have to use it up because otherwise it might be too sticky or not sticky or give me a problem. I did struggle in the Torn Paper Tuesday video. It is stickiness. And then I found a way of doing it, a technique that it stopped sticking to my fingers as badly. But now we're using those strips. First, I'm using the Uncharted Mariner ink, making sure that I have some color, some ink on the middle where you will see the oval, and also on the corners. Yeah. Again, follow the tutorial on how to do this. This just gives you an idea. I spent the last few months having the opportunity. It was a wonderful opportunity to craft in person with a group that lives in our area. I didn't start the group. A lady started it. She wanted to have the chance. She has started junk journaling, and she wanted to have the chance of getting together. So we've been doing this once or twice a month, and it's been very rewarding. A lot of what I did today, I learned from one person in particular, and she brought her beads, her collection of beads. You know, as we go, we try this, we try that. She talked about gathering these beads from estate sales or yard sales, and she showed us how to make a dangle, and I'll be showing you that shortly. And then after that, she showed us how to do paper strips, and I have this tape, double-sided tape, but she used packing tape. Yeah. So one of the wonderful things about crafting together in person with someone or a group is you can sit across from someone and your hands are busy, but you're relaxing. You can share ideas. And it's funny how encouragement shows up in the smallest ways. Someone shares a stamp or someone hands you a scrap you didn't even know you needed. And there's a generosity that lives in junk journal group crafting. Yes, there are Facebook groups where you can belong to, and I belong to one, and that's actually how this lady that wanted to start the group, she reached out to everybody and said, you know, whoever's in this area, if you're interested in crafting together, message me. So I did, and I'm very thankful that I have a place that is suitable for meeting together. So that's my contribution, a spot to meet. And all these ladies, and they're not the same ones that come each time. Some can only come on a Saturday. Some can only come during the week. So it makes it easier, to meet new people while you're crafting alongside them. And you leave that crafting time together lighter in spirit. Now, what happens if you don't know anybody or there's no opportunity to get together with somebody in person? I find that if I have a video that's playing in the background as I craft, it's almost a feeling as crafting together with someone. I have different favorite people that I, in quotes, air quotes, I'm saying, I craft together with them because they happen to be on the TV. The YouTube is playing while I'm doing what I'm working on, and it's similar to following a true tutorial, but not the same, because often the ones that I have playing on my computer while I'm working on what I need to work on, they're either quiet videos, like the people themselves have a quiet tone, a relaxing tone, or they don't talk. It's what that's called ASMR. Yeah, so I thought if anybody was interested in just crafting alongside me as though we're in the same room, I started this idea of quiet, no talking videos on Tuesdays, and it's just using up my scraps, torn paper. So that's what I did this past Tuesday, these strips. Now I'm attaching them to the top part of the 2 index style cards, and I'm cutting it off so it's equal, it's even. And I have to tell you, I tried sewing this, and I discovered very quickly that this kind of double-sided tape and needle I'm using in my sewing machine were not compatible. My needle got gummed up in a way that it doesn't with glue stick or even Fabri-Tac, and definitely art glitter glue is fine too. So this is the first time that I wanted to sew these strips on the paper, but because of my choice of the double-sided tape, it didn't work. So these strips now are around the middle, or around the edges, and I want to be able to see the blue part. So what I do is I bring back the punch and I use the corner into that triangle shape so that it's not quite all the way to the middle, and I just punch that spot. I hope it's not too loud, the punching part. And they're not perfect, but it does look okay, and that was exciting. So, lessons learned in this one. Don't focus on perfection, and don't use your sewing machine if you're using double-sided tape, unless you have a better machine than I do. And it's quite possible that it's my machine because it's 40-some years old. But it is a workhorse. It's one of those old Kenmore sewing machines. The reverse button doesn't work anymore, but it's fine for paper crafting, that's for sure. Whether it's fabric or whether it's paper, just not with the double-sided tape. Now I'm adding a few extra little bits because I wanted the area filled in a little more. So I have the opportunity now, when I have added the strips, just to add in some extra bits. And I'm trying to focus on purple because if you see the dangle that's beside me, it has a very pretty eyebrow trim. There, that's the name of it, attached. And I received that as just something special that someone that I was crafting with on Saturday, she brought it for me, knowing that I had the one piece of eyelash trim. That's what it's called, eyelash trim. And she brought me a bunch, and that was one of them. So, yeah, crafting in person is a lovely experience. I find my experience, anyhow, with other junk journalers, those that are crafting, we're all different personalities, but the spirit of helpfulness and the experience of sharing abilities, regardless of what stage is the wrong word, how proficient you are, or how long you've been doing it, is irrelevant. So, yeah, I received that eyelash trim and the bead dangle from people I was crafting with. And it was interesting to sit side by side and talk about our strategy. The lady that brought the beads, she was saying that she loves the randomness of putting beads together. She just puts them on the elastic, and whichever one strikes her fancy. And that was fun. I agree. I had a little more of a plan because I knew as soon as I saw her dangle what I wanted to use it for, and it was this last journal. So I chose the colors that I felt would work best for this journal. But in any other case, I would just choose the beads that I loved. And she was sharing that, and I agreed with her, the idea that the randomness of whether it's putting down strips on a piece of tape, strips and fabric, because she was using fabric also, or placing beads on a elastic string, that kind of randomness is relaxing. It's stress relieving. And yeah, so we connected over those concepts, and it's lovely. And sometimes you don't even need to talk, just being in the same room, each person lost in their own creativity. Yeah, that's a quiet kind of togetherness. I suppose similar to watching or having a video playing in the background that is something that is quiet. So I have these the set of digitals, and I fussy cut them out, and each one corresponds with a day, the scripture for that day. I'm using yet another double-sided tape. This one is foam tape, so it kind of lifts the word art off of the page, gives it some dimension, but not too much. And then I need to make the pocket for that fourth day from this piece of paper. I have the scriptures that I typed out. I'm using the amplified version. It's something that I've been using for years, since probably 20 years. And it just hits, for me, it helps my understanding of Scripture. So I've created the scriptures in little rectangles, and I'm going to put them on these homemade pocket pages that will be the same size as the index card. And I have one index card with the word art on it and the paper strips, and one of these pockets. And a little bit you'll see me trying to make sure that each one lines up with the other, so that when the book binding ring, when I try to fit it on, because it's a very small one, and I chose that one deliberately because I feel it turns easier, but I wanted the place where it attaches to be in the same spot on each of the pages, basically, of this mini journal. Now, Debbie Wallbank, she has a channel called Pouring My Art Out for the Lord, and she addressed the idea of those that were intimidated by possibly the amount of time it would take doing this study each day, and demonstrated on a video that basically you could do this in 7.5 or 8 minutes every day. You're going into the challenge, and the pages that, if you wanted to do this on your own, they're available. And of course, all the videos from the other participants are still available. So I would recommend going through this study and exploring joy from a biblical perspective. Anyhow, Debbie Wallbank, she has a video that shows how to do a much more simple version than what I did. But for me, this worked for me this week. So I'm folding the bottom up and the top down to make the size of the pocket equal to the size of the index card, so it fits there. And I put my hole, and you'll see this in a bit, on the left side between the two areas. The bottom part is a pocket. The top part is a flap that I can add things to the pocket, or I can actually write on that piece. Now I tea and Easter egg colored these papers in my garage. I put down a stencil, and then I spray the ink on top. tea dye ink on top. I'll insert a picture here to show you what I mean. And I did that after Easter. And I have a lot of pages, maybe 30 or more, that are still left. And some of them are just plain tea dyed, and some of them are this green or blue shade. And it worked out much more clear than I thought it would. And these are just stencils that I used with like distress ink, brushing it on. And I thought, well, let's try it with some sprayed ink. And you can see the success of this. This is my favorite paper. I'll link below. It prints out really well because it's a little heavier paper than photocopy paper or printer paper. And it takes color well, and it takes dyeing well, and that's why it's my favorite paper. It's not too heavy, so it's not a cardstock, but it is heavy enough that it doesn't tear easily, and you can't see the glue that you use when you put two pieces together. Because I find the less sturdy paper will often show the art glitter glue where it is put on the paper. Now, obviously, you don't have to use art glitter glue. You can use Fabri-Tac, which is the other glue that I often use, in addition to glue stick. So I'm cutting apart these pages that were provided in the challenge, the study challenge. And I really like the reflection question that's there and the extra quotes by different Christians. I put those on the bottom part of the pocket and the reflection question on the flap. And inside I put the other questions. And these are printed out 4 to a page. The reason I did that was, even though sometimes it's hard to read, I have to admit that. The reason I did that is because I knew I was going to make mini journals, and a large piece of paper would have been awkward. Now, admittedly, I could have done them 2 to a page, and they would have been more easy to read. But this worked for this month's challenge for me. So, there we go. I have them in order, or I'm going to have them in order. And then I'll punch holes in them. And I've never done this before. It seems odd, but I've never used a ring that I recall to bind, to attach pages to another. And so putting the hole in was a little daunting. Making sure that it would sit correctly and turn correctly. That's what I mean about daunting. But I sort of struggled through and made it work. I probably should have put the scripture parts further toward the middle of each page, because as you see, when I put the hole in on the left, sometimes it punches part of the scripture out. But this is for me. This is something that I will revisit and add to, so it's fine. And it does stay together well. And I have some, as you can see, reinforcements, paper reinforcements. And again, that was another gift from the ladies that we gathered with, a different lady. She gave us a little envelope that she'd made filled with special things. And these whole reinforcements, they're part of what she had there in that envelope. And I'm thrilled to be able to use them to reinforce the holes that I'm going to use. I'm using the larger of the 2 holes of the Big Bite Crocodile. And you'll see me doing that very soon. I could have used a handheld, but originally I contemplated putting all of the pages through at once. This is a 1/2-inch ring clip, and I was thinking about, should I put them all through at the same time? And I know that the crocodile will do that. It can handle almost anything. I've shortened my husband's belts and put another hole in his leather belts doing this. But in the end, I chose to do just one at a time and use the reference point with a little pencil mark on the next ones. I'm reaching for a pencil here. So just marking where the hole needs to be so that they'll line up when they're put together. I go back later, not on video, to put the whole reinforcements on. I didn't think you needed to watch me do that. You get the idea of how to do that. And I chose to ink with the same Uncharted Mariner ink on the white hole reinforcers, just so that the color ties in. And it's obviously easy to do. You watched me do it just not too long ago in the video. You know, meeting in person, it's not just about the glue and the paper or the beads or the ideas. It's about having time to laugh together and the stories that come up, and even the way someone might share a technique or a memory or a story about a color or a texture that reminded them of something. There are huge benefits to crafting with another person. If you have the opportunity, give it a try. When I was interested in being a part of this group, I put out a question in a couple different Facebook groups asking people, did they ever craft with someone else? And there were a number of people that crafted with a loved one, a relative. Some crafted in a group at a center, like a community center. Some crafted at the library. And all of those things would be wonderful if you could find the opportunity. Or if there's nothing happening in your area, start one. I got a Facebook message from someone this past week, or the week before, and she lives in another city. That's a significant drive to join us. And she said she'd like to start a junk journal crafting group. So I'm hoping she'll reach out again, and if she has any questions, and I can give her my opinion. So I'll ask you here, do you craft with another person? Or are you on your own and find that relaxing? I'm very much an introvert, so crafting with others seemed like a huge shift. And it has been a significant shift, but it's not as though I do it every day. And it does make for so many wonderful experiences. Some I expected, some I didn't. So, if any of my crafting group is watching, thank you for your presence and your contributions, and I hope and pray that I can add something to you also. So, almost done with this punching holes. And then I have to work the ring through. There's a little afraid that the ring, after adding all these extras, including a backing paper, that whether they'd fit in there, but I'm inking this backing card just so it fits in with the aesthetic of the other pages. And I'll probably add something on the back. I wanted to add one of the channel challenges. The ladies have created a recognizable logo for this channel challenge, but I didn't have one handy. And this video is sped up. It was more than an hour that I was doing this. So I sped it up just a bit so you didn't have to watch my slow crafting. And the thought of having to talk for half an hour is a little daunting for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you very much. New subscribers, those that have joined to watch, those of you that are returning people that watch. I invite you to leave a comment, even if it's just a hand wave to say hi. I would love that. It's a way to connect. We may not be able to craft in person, but we can craft side by side. And if you leave a comment, it's a way of communicating ideas and stories and thoughts and experiences, and it brings us as a paper crafting community together in ways that are special. You can see these two bead dangles. The one on the left is one that this lady that I crafted with, she did herself for me and gave it. She had a group of ones she'd finished and offered it to the ladies in the group crafting experience. And then the one I'm tying right now, I made myself, and it has words. It says, shared joy. Share joy. Yeah. And that eyelash trim, that was from another lady. So I'm attaching it. It's a way to keep it together on both sides. I have a clip there, so I'm clipping it on. And it becomes a different kind, different style of journal. When I began this challenge, I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to complete all 5 weeks, but I did. And I'm really happy that I did. But one reason for making mini journals was to be sure that I felt a sense of accomplishment for each week. And if I needed to do less in another week because of circumstances, I could do less. And if I wanted to do more, I could. And it was just enough. A little bit of crafting every day with one of the styles, different styles of mini journals. They're easy to just tuck in your purse. That's one benefit of a mini journal. They're easy to share ideas. And that completes the 5th week, 4 days, to the end of July of this exploring joy. I wish you well. I encourage you, even if it's now, you can start. It's never too late. You can grab the digital that is available below. And these are the journals that I completed. They're all in a playlist if you want to see how I did all 5 of them. I wish you well. Take care. It's Lori at Positive Thanks Living. Bye for now.